I'm going to call this public hearing to order. For the purposes of information, all testimony given today will pertain to the subject matter under sworn oath and shall be respectful. If at any time the conversation deviates and the conversation does not remain germane, I will halt the conversation and bring back to order. It is the prerogative of this Board of County Commissioners to conduct business in a respectful and professional manner. The chairman has the authority to stop the meeting. At this time, I will be calling individuals to the podium to be sworn in. We will have Q&A back and forth. There is no time limit on the hearing. And when the hearing is concluded, the Board of County Commissioners will take all the information provided today under consideration. Having said all this, I'd like to welcome MF 2025-003 by Verizon Wireless seeking approval for a new antenna facility 165 feet in height and will be located at 69375 County Road 6.8, Branson, Colorado. First, I'd like to call Mr. Sean Rogan, our LACC Los Animas County Land Use Director, to be sworn in.
I affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And then please state your name and position.
Sean Rogan, Planning and Land Use Director for Los Animas County. I'm getting good at this now. Good morning, still morning, Commissioners. Today we have a special use permit that was brought to us by Verizon Wireless. It was approved by my Land Use Board Planning Commission. It was a unanimous decision. Since that time, I have received one letter of support from a John Smith from Smith Ranches. You will see it in your packet. It was a note saying that he had no objections to the application for that permit. Before my planning board approved it, I received a call from Mr. Smith, and I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. I did receive one other phone call from a citizen who was upset about this. I asked them to write us a letter. We've never received a letter from them, and I've not heard from them since.
So that was the only letter, the only opposition, and then you have no idea who it was?
I don't, and I've yet to receive an official letter from them.
Okay. Now, is this the one that we approved not long ago and then it didn't move forward?
This is an updated, so we approved one maybe about 12 years ago, and then they came before the board, the planning board, last year, and then they tabled it, and then they came in with a new application this year for it.
Okay. Because they met opposition, was that?
Yes, that was why it was tabled last year.
Commissioners, any other questions?
All the adjacent landowners have been notified.
Correct.
Mr. Rogan, I know we had, by the way, good morning and thank you for conducting the planning hearings. One of the questions that somebody had asked me is, where do we publicize these meetings? Just for the record, can you please tell our community where, what local publications, if it is digital, social, whatever the case may be, can you please, for the record, explain that?
Yes, we advertise it in the Chronicle News. We do it at least 14 days before the Planning Commission meeting. Because of their publication dates, it's a little closer to 20 days just because of them only printing on Fridays and our meetings on Mondays. And we have to have it in the Tuesday before it's published.
Yeah, and are those publications also within inside of the walls of the courthouse?
We have not posted them. We've just been posting them in the paper.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner, sir.
I have no other questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, we'll start with the proponent's testimony, and the representative from Verizon, please come forward, or if you're online, do we have Mark Williams or Kelly Harrison on the line?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Mark Williams, and I'm here online, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you remotely. I appreciate that very much.
And you need to be sworn in, sir. Please raise your right hand.
Solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And if you'll state your name again, please.
Mark Williams, representing Verizon Wireless.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Continue.
Thank you very much. I hope, really again, I appreciate the Commissioners that I'm able to present to you remotely. And I hope you had a chance to take a look at the application. Our goal here is to serve Los Animas County, and in particular, the people around Branson and then the traveling public along Highway 160 north of there, along 389 and County Road 6.8, and as well as the first responders in the area. In addition, we want to try to bring additional technologies and new technologies to the area for the economic development that the Los Animas County Master Plan wants. And as was acknowledged, this is an additional and new application that we provided to you. 8 years ago, in my presentations I'll show, 8 years ago, you did approve it. And for whatever reason, at that time, Verizon Wireless didn't proceed with it. There's been turnover in the company, and best we can tell, there was budget issues. You're also correct that last fall, in 2024, we did file an application, and then we withdrew that. And what we did is we went back to Verizon and we said, what is it that you need? Because the facility could be at 195 feet, which is what the application previously was for. And the upper limit, by the way, is 199 feet. We said, what is what you really need to be able to serve the area? And we reduced that amount of the size of the facility down to 165 feet, which is 15% lower than previously applied for, and also 17% less than the maximum we have in the area. In addition, we were going to build it, if approved, to be able to hold a total of 3 carriers, so that there are less facilities in the area to try to meet that, and then paint it whatever color the Board of County Commissioners and the Planning Department wish us to do that with. And we do this because we have an obligation to serve under our licenses, and we want to improve the lives of all of our customers with advanced 4G and 5G services, ultra-wideband services that provide better video and other types of technologies. As the commissioners know, we rely on our wireless devices to do much of what we do in our lives, be it home, in our businesses, and for schoolwork, and certainly first responders it's very important for first responders to be able to have good technology. And without 5G and 4G technology in the area, the latency in an emergency is significant. And so the purpose of this facility was to be able to provide that technology, as I'll show you in a little bit. So this is the best location for us to be able to have this facility. And I wonder if I might share a presentation. Would that be okay with the commissioners?
Absolutely. Mr. Williams, Chair, as we go through the process, Mr. Williams, and this is Commissioner Felix Lopez, pardon the interruption, but as we go through, we may be kind of interrupting your presentation to ask for clarification. And if I may, Chair, I have a couple of questions before we proceed on to the presentation.
Proceed.
Mr. Williams, once again, thank you. You mentioned that this tower will provide access to 3 carriers. Can you please explain who are going to be the additional 2 carriers in addition to Verizon?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you for asking these questions as we go along, Commissioner. I think that's important for you in order to make your deliberations. So I represent Verizon Wireless. The other 2 major carriers AT&T and T-Mobile. There are some smaller carriers, but the total amount of those carriers that we can put on that facility would be 3. And so that especially with that height, they would be, each one of them would be about 10 feet below us, Verizon wireless antennas. So the Verizon wireless antennas are at 165 feet. There's a 10-foot gap, and they would be down at about 145 the next one, and then down at about 125 to be able to transmit.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. So what is the range of coverage? I know Branson, and I actually am pretty familiar with the site and location of this proposed tower. Geographically looking at it, I know we have a highway that goes north of Branson, and then of course we have a highway that goes down into the New Mexico. Can you please explain to us what is the range of coverage in miles, if you will, linear miles, either direction?
Yes, sir. I'll do my best here. And it's a little bit later in my presentation, but I'm wondering if the commissioners can see this map right now.
We do.
Yes.
Okay. So the facility will be down in this area where my little hand is, and Highway 160 is all up along in this area, as you can see. And what this shows, the yellow portion, John, shows areas where there's lack of coverage. And the red or orange, burnt orange, shows areas where there is acceptable coverage at this point. And then this will be where the 4G, because the antennas will have 4G technology, which is used typically for voice, text, and data. And so you can see that the coverage will go all the way up along Highway 160. Let me go back one more time because I think it's helpful. So you see right here where there are gaps in coverage, and there's significant gaps in coverage where there are dropped calls. And some of the commissioners of the Planning Commission noted, at least one did, that he had experienced dropped calls, and that's what we understand as well along this area. This is the county road, this is 389, and here's 160. And so the 4G will encompass that area. And then we'll also add 5G, which provides high-speed data coverage, which will also go along the highway and down into Branson. As I'm sure the commissioners know, down in Branson on the north side, there's the Branson Online School, which serves a lot of ranching families in this area. And so what this will allow greater coverage for those families for school and whatnot. But importantly, for businesses in these areas, in this area, they'll be able to use their wireless devices to conduct business at a much broader scope and reliably with no latency, or much less latency than you had before. In addition, responders going along the highway here and in various areas, and if there are emergency services which are required, they will be able to get service at ultra high band speed coverage. And what that does is there's enhanced speeds between back and forth between the facility, the wireless facility, and your wireless device, and increased capacity. And one of the biggest reasons for this facility is there's a significant gap in coverage in the area, as I indicated, as we can see here. But because of there's so many more devices that are going along, it's almost as if you're trying to pour a lot of water down a smaller drain. It gets kind of clogged up and you can't get through. Or if there are many of us trying to get through a door in a stadium and there's only one door, it can't get through. Basically what this does, as a matter of radio frequency physics, is allows more calls and more data to go through. And so that's the area that will be covered with the facility. And I hope that helps answer your question, sir.
Yes, and Mr. Williams, have you had, or did you have an opportunity to meet with the Branson school representatives? And that's question one, and then my follow-up question is, how far in your map is the coverage going toward the Keene area?
So, the first question, Your Honor, excuse me, Mr. Commissioner, I have not spoken with the Branson School folks. I have not done that. I note that the Branson Online School is in Branson and is in the north end of town. And Kim is along in this area, right? So it's not going to, there are other facilities closer to Kim, but what it'll do is the particular areas that are not served or along in this area. As you can see, there's a significant area, particularly around this area at the confluence of the corner of 389 and 160. And then as it goes farther east, there is a real significant gap of coverage, as well as here, and then down towards Branson. And there's a significant gap in coverage in the Branson area. And so what that will do is, from a 4G standpoint, will take care of that, and then a 5G will also do that as well. So,
Thank you.
Mr. Russo.
I have no questions right now.
So, Mr. Williams, if I may, one more question here.
Yes, sir.
Since you keep talking about the 4G voice, text, and data, that's going to be benefiting all the community within that pretty much outlined area. There, I have read your environment also, both, and I have researched the project that you are applying for. Once again, thank you for the information that you provided. Can you extrapolate on the perception of specifically 5G, the radiation? There are so many reports out online that certainly for our listeners, for anyone that is going to be a participating member within that community, can you explain to these Board of County Commissioners and also to the community if there are any risks associated with installing a 5G telecommunications tower, i.e. antenna or transmitter?
yes, Mr. Commissioner, and thank you for that opportunity to discuss that. You're right that there are all sorts of things out there on the internet. Here's the most important thing that the residents of Animas County and the commissioners need to know is that the facility will operate within the guidelines required by the Federal Communications Commission. We have to do that, and we will do that. I will also tell you that the radio frequencies coming out of this facility will be less than what you would experience if you're microwaving in your own home. There'll be less. You probably will get more if you use a blow dryer, and we know that that's not going to happen. That you're not going to have health effects from that. And so that's why within the federal statute, the health effects of a facility can't be considered because they are within the FCC guidelines that are promulgated by the Federal Communications Commission. And so there is no definitive scientific study saying it's not safe. Rather, everything that the FCC has investigated and created and determined based upon its rulemaking is that it is safe, especially when it falls and it's operated within the FCC guidelines. And we assert to you on oath that this facility will operate within the FCC guidelines.
Thank you, sir. And another portion that I am actually looking at the economic impact of this particular application on the opportunity, of course, having coverage, having access for the school district, which is very, very important. I think Branson Online was one of the pioneers and of online education. It has been for many years. So for that reason, we certainly there is a lot of opportunity in there for economic impact. On your application statement, and as we go through the process, pardon my interruptions, I have some highlights on your application. There are, one of the questions that I wanted you to extrapolate on is the equity issues. The written in there says there is a concern that the eastern side of the county gets the leftovers. Certainly, I just wanted to ask you, where did that statement come from, and who basically is asserting that? That would be under the medium priority issues, under the equity issues. Very clear statement in there. So certainly, this would enhance and provide the opportunity for anyone attempting to do business and impact the economic perspective of that part of the county. But when I read that, I just wanted to ask you, sir, how and who came up with that statement that there was a concern that the eastern side of the county gets the leftovers?
Sir, thank you for that question. I extrapolated these statements directly from the Los Animas County Master Plan, which, from the comprehensive plan, which was drafted in the early 2000s. So that's where this came from. I didn't create this. And so, but by that token, sir, the important thing is that right now, sorry to keep going back and forth, sir. This is obviously an eastern portion of the county where there's a significant gap in coverage. And the Branson School, as you pointed out, it is a very interesting history, which obviously you know about, everybody there knows about. It is one of the pioneers in online education and helps all of these ranching families in this area. And so the important part about one of the things that we want to do, because we have to serve our customers, and we have a lot of customers not only driving but living in this area, is to be able to serve them. And so that's why you'll have not only 4G but 5G technology that will help everybody in that area. And so the statement that you have, excuse me, in our statement comes directly from the master plan, which if you would like me to, I can find it and bring it up.
Thank you. That would suffice. And please proceed with your presentation. And Chair, thank you for giving me this time to ask these questions.
Yeah, Mr. Lopez, thank you Commissioner Lopez, thank you for asking these questions and keep asking. This is a lot more informative, I'm sure, for you all, and we appreciate the opportunity to explain this further. I chose to start with the Los Animas County Master Plan because obviously that's something that the county put a lot of work into some time ago, and even though it was some time ago, there are portions of it that I think kind of transcend any time period. Certainly, as Commissioner Lopez indicated, that there is a desire to have more economic development in the county. The concept 3 is encourage economic development in the county, and that's something that is timeless, I would suggest. And so, what the county wants to do is support economic development in the entire county. And that's why it's important to have updated technology which will allow all in the county, and as you just pointed out from an equity standpoint, to be able to showcase their business to the rest of the world, to showcase, to learn through technology from the rest of the world. And so that's an important part of having a wireless facility which will give you the most advanced technology. In terms of the town of Branson, and again, all of these statements, folks, come straight from the master plan. One of the high priorities issues was emergency services. And as you know, if there are fire and ambulance, they do have their own radios, but they're also using wireless devices to be able to transmit and data back and forth for help, because God forbid there's an accident. But if the first responders have to use their tablet to be able to transmit information, they need to make sure that they can get it there from a life-saving standpoint. Also encouraging cottage industries and home-based businesses within established communities. Obviously, Branson is a very established community, a long-time community in that area, and there are, I would imagine, there are home-based businesses in in that area. And so that's important for technology to be able to assist all those folks. Law enforcement, sometimes, again, this is from the master plan, and it is some time ago, so I'm not representing that this is happening at this point, but you want to make sure that there is, because we rely almost exclusively on wireless devices to communicate, that we can get contact with law enforcement, healthcare, and others. And so we want to help Los Angeles County achieve these goals, and that's why we want to detail that in our application. If it's okay with you, I'm not going to go through every slide. I'm happy to, but some of the things I already talked about. This is one of them, but there is in 2022 alone, there was 73.7 trillion megabytes of data on the nation's wireless services. 73% of homes are wireless only. And so many folks hope that the government will make it easier to build wireless networks. As you all know, the way that these services occur is through a cell site, which is what we're proposing. And all of this happens instantaneously. You have the phone, which I showed you, and it goes to a switching center with very quick process. Here there'll be a microwave antenna that will help achieve that. One of the other things that we're trying to do is to determine what's the best location and the best kind of facility. Here, we propose to install what's called a macro site. In other words, it's a larger, taller facility because it can spread its signal over a larger area, as I showed you previously, and I'll get back to again. There are smaller sites that you can have that you might have seen in some communities where they have flat light poles that have small wireless devices on them. Those wireless devices kind of beam off the larger, taller one. And that may be something that could happen sometime in the near future or in the future for Branson and other areas in that community. One of the things that we want to do is to stay ahead of demand because, as I indicated in that kind of analogy where you're walking into a stadium and there's only one door, and that as the demand is increasing, we want to make sure that we meet that demand, particularly folks in that area. So that's an important thing. Most folks, if they're a single-family home buyers, consider an area of good wireless service important when buying a home, and so that's really important these days because it is the only advice. I've talked about health and safety enough, and so I won't go through more, but I'm happy to discuss it a lot more. But there is a demand from a lot of our communities to have more wireless broadband, especially in more rural areas. And one of the things that Verizon Wireless wants to do, it is required to, but wants to do, is to serve more rural areas. And we also want to create a wireless network that you can rely on. There are instances where there have been fires or hurricanes in other parts of the country where wireless facilities are the remaining facility by which they can communicate, where emergency service providers can communicate. I don't want to leave this commission with the notion that they never burn down or ever fall down. They have, but they're built to withstand winds up to 200 miles an hour, and they typically survive a lot of those crises, which is important. I already talked about how it's important to have wireless in the medical field, and particularly these days, when you have a remote, you have the ability to have remote telemedicine, and I'm sure that, or I'm not sure, you may have family members that participate in telemedicine. My mother-in-law is dying blind, and it's the easiest way for her to be able to get medical attention is to do a telemedicine, and having, she does it on her tablet, and that's the easiest way for her to be able to do that, especially in areas where, while there be great medical facilities, they may need additional backup. It's an important component, and that will be an important component in that area.
Mr. Williams, to interject just a little right there, you talked about the possibility of making the tower if it should come down. Tell us a little bit about the decommissioning that would happen then, and would the onus be on Verizon to do that, to remove that?
Yes, sir. There is a requirement that under your regulations that there's a decommissioning that we have to pay for it. And you are absolutely right. And we stated in our application, I state here on the record, that we would get paid for the decommissioning if that happened. We don't anticipate that happening. We plan on being in the area for more than 25 years or longer. We hope to be in the area as long as the community needs us. So I hope that answers your question, sir.
Yes, thank you.
So as I indicated, we did apply back in 2016. It was approved, extended in 2017, and it just wasn't built. And I wish I could give you a better answer than I gave you, but I just don't have that. So what we did is we went back, and I said, and Ms. Harrison was on the line here, and I said, let's get this as low as possible to be able to achieve the objectives that we saw in those maps, and then also be able to have additional carriers. And that's why we came back with a lower facility, again, 15% lower than previously approved. As I walk through, the facility complies with the Los Animas County Code, as well as the master plan, as I indicated earlier in my testimony. We think it's going to be a real benefit to this area. We have complied with all of the, and will comply with all of the Los Animas County requirements and code requirements in building and the facility, as well as state and federal design criteria. It's in a rural area. I mean, it's all in where it's going to be located. And so there will be no dust, there will be no odor, there will be no noise. It's going to sit out there and transmit and help provide technology to the community. It does comply with all the setback requirements and the siding requirements. It is in the agricultural zone.
So, Mr. Williams, you're showing, I just saw your slides, a couple of things. Will you, if or when this project proceeds, what is your proposed start of construction? And then that's question one. And then second, I would be remiss if I would reiterate the fact that I believe that if you made a visit or Verizon, a representative to the schools, both Kim and Bronson, and to highlight the benefits, that's going to be one of the, and I wish this would have been done already, but nonetheless, I think it would be very pertinent to provide that information to them as they partner with, those schools partner with other higher ed institutions to get online curriculum. Whether it's Trinidad State, Adams State, Colorado university system, the pipeline coming of curriculum educational opportunities for the students are such that if they understand that they have the knowledge and learning for concurrent enrollment as those students are going from on their latter high school years, they'll have access to other capacities and capabilities to partner with higher learning institutions. So I think if any one of the representatives who have an opportunity, it would be great to pay a visit to both school districts, very small, but very important to our community.
Well, a great point, and I just made notes, sir, to accomplish that. And as you pointed out earlier, I've had the opportunity to really study it. spent some time on it because I was impressed by it. That the Branson Online School really is a pioneer in online education. And just as an example for other schools in rural areas and other areas. There may be other areas which need an online school. To answer your first question, sir, is as soon as, and hopefully we ask for this to be approved today, as soon as assuming that that's the case, then we're going to work with Mr. Rogan and the building department to get the requisite permits, and our plan is to build it as soon as we can technically possibly do it. So we do want to make sure that we are complying with all of the requirements before construction. So with that, it's not really a caveat, it's just a requirement. We'll get started.
What is your estimated time of completion from beginning to end if this project were to be approved?
Let's pretend that today we got all of the permits and we could literally get shovel ready and go from there. And Ms. Harrison, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe that it could be built within a matter of months, if not less than months. Ms. Harrison, anything additional to that?
So I need
It needs to be sworn in. Yes.
Do you solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name.
Kelly Harrison.
Thank you.
So it looks as if, just looking at the Verizon database, that construction is slated to start around spring of 2026. We usually give about 90 days from start of construction to end of construction, and then they'll have some tweaking of the site before it's officially on air. So I would say late summer 2026 is when we anticipate this facility to be on air.
Thank you. And do you have anything else to add, Ms. Harrison?
Not at this time.
Yeah, Ms. Harrison is one of the consultants to Verizon, and we are going to be working on this together. You likely saw her name on the application, gentlemen. So in determining where to place this facility, we identified the gap, which I talked about, and then we created a radius to figure out the most important place. We didn't find a location for a co-location. However, in placing the facility in this area, what we wanted to do was to be able to have the height and the capacity structurally to be able to have 2 more carriers on there. And so that's when this particular facility and this location was determined. I've already walked through this, but this is a signal propagation map which the Verizon engineers, and the yellow area is where the real gap in coverage exists, as I walk through. And then this is the 4G coverage, and then the 5G ultra wideband high-speed data coverage that we provided. And it's going to close a real gap. And when I know I keep using the phrase real gap, that's a phrase in telecommunications law that is used and to be able to demonstrate that there is a real gap in coverage. And without the facility, we won't be able to, Verizon will not be able to fill that gap in coverage, and won't be able to provide new services in the area, and won't be able to provide enhanced technologies that have already been discussed, which are important. Let me, with your permission, let me show you some views, because I think it's important for you folks to see these. This is looking more towards the Branson area without the facility. And here it is with the facility. I'm going to kind of not go too fast here. And then here's another area. Going across the street, you can see where the view is here. And here's what it looks like. As you can see, when it goes up against the blue sky, or even a cloudy sky, you're not going to really see it that much. It's going to be pretty ubiquitous as you move along. And then you're going up towards,
Mr. Williams, if you go back to the previous slide, right there, how the setback and the clearance, is that right away part of CDOT?
Well, it's County Road 3.8, and then there's 389. The setback complies with the county setbacks. So it's 150% of the distance. And I can show you that in the application. The application shows what the setbacks are.
Thank you. And I may have a follow-up question from Mr. Rodham, but within that, in actual feet or yards, how far is it from that particular county road to where the tower is going to be located? And then I see there is another county road basically that intersects. So this is going to be kind of in the middle of both. Can you specifically tell us in feet, is there going to be any, I know, road and bridge perhaps? It's not going to be interfering with either county road. But my final question, and the actual question that I'm asking is, whose right of way is that?
Well, I hope this helps answer your question, sir. This is a map, this is within the application. At the bottom, you see County Road 6.8, sir.
Yes.
And then on the right axis is State Highway 389, so that'd be the CDOT road.
Yes.
And this is 294 feet. So, and so if God forbid, it's not going to fall, but if it did, it would fall to 165 feet, and then you would have 103 feet to the road.
Oh, in either direction, correct?
Yes, sir. Here it's okay. Back to 6. It just happens to be 2 more feet.
Yes, okay, very good. Thank you. You answered my question.
Yes, sir. This is the final view. You know, Ms. Nelson, I'm sure, has advised you on the legal concepts. So I don't plan on spending any time on this unless it's important to you. But there are some requirements under federal law that all parties have to comply with, in which I know that Ms. Nelson will advise you on. I'm sure you're familiar with them from previous applications. And so the important thing that for this particular application is that, if we don't have the application, it would materially inhibit wireless service, as I indicated earlier, because there is a gap in the network around the Branson area, and then up to 160 down to 89. And without the site, we will be unable to improve service, and then we'll not be able to compete with any other wireless services around the area, but I'm not sure how much they are in that area. And this will provide an incentive for them to also be on there, because we will have already built a facility for them. So this happens to be the best location for this facility, given the views that I showed you before, given the location of how it's going to serve 160 and Freehan and down to Branson as well. And so that's why under all these tests, it meets the federal requirements, and granting the application is going to serve Las Animas County as I indicated. And so we ask that the commission unanimously approve this application so that we can begin to get the process going to serve the folks of Las Animas County, and particularly in this area. And I just really appreciate the time that you've given us to talk today. And I'm open for any further questions. I'm going to stop sharing unless somebody would like me to keep this up.
Any final comments, Commissioner Lucero? Go ahead, Mr. Dorcamp.
Do I need to be,
Please raise your right hand, Mr. Dorcamp.
do I need to be sworn in to ask a question?
Solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name and position.
Phil Dorcamp, Los Animas County Administrator. Mr. Williams, you had mentioned that
one of the positives of this tower will be emergency services, first responders will be able to utilize the cell tower, Verizon, etc. The question I have is there enough capacity? I think I have the answer to this on that tower that's being proposed to, if Los Animas County wanted to put a repeater up there, I guess I'm specifically thinking more like an 800 megahertz repeater. Is there going to be room for us to be able to install one of those? Not necessarily our road and bridge department's two-way radios, but especially our 800. We've got an 800 tower north of Ken. We've got one in Raton Pass, one in Cordoba Pass, but we do not have any out in the Branson area. We do have some dead areas. And I think historically the county, when a new cell tower had been proposed, that the county had asked that there be capacity for county repeaters. So that's my question, and I think I know the answer of it. That's
Well,
my question, Russ.
First of all, sir, what we'd like to be able to do is, I mean, it's going to be 165 feet tall. And so have we had the facilities of local jurisdictions on our facilities before? The answer is yes. Certainly happy to discuss that with you. And it's not a question we've been asked so far, but it's a fair question. It's certainly something that we'd be happy to talk about with you. Because there will be a repeater up there, a microwave repeater that we're going to be able to use for our service. And so certainly happy to discuss that with the county. And I don't know, Ms. Harrison, if you have anything else to add on that. But certainly be happy to talk to you about that.
Yeah,
I'm making note of that.
we typically have no issue providing service to jurisdictions. It would just be a conversation we would need to have moving forward.
And the second question, I'm going to assume that this tower, I know nothing about when the towers are required to put lighting on them. If this tower has lighting, is it going to be equipped, I believe they call it an aircraft detection lighting system, so that if there isn't any aircraft in the vicinity, then the lights will go off, and once an aircraft is in the vicinity, the lights will come on? Because I want to guess it's probably, if there's any opposition, that would be my gut feeling that that's where any opposition would come from, is a light blinking all night long.
So what we will do is that there are requirements between the FAA regulations and the FCC regulations on the lighting of facilities at night. And so we will comply with those in terms of whatever the current requirements of the FAA, that's what we have to abide by. That's the best and most truthful answer I can give you. And I will concede that I don't have that technology exactly on my mind. All I know is that we have to comply with all FAA requirements. If that's an FAA requirement, sir, we will comply with it.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't believe it's an FAA requirement, but I guess I'm thinking more along the lines of wind generating facilities, that the FAA, I believe, requires them to have lights on them, but I believe at a local level, the local entity can ask that those be equipped with the EDLS system. Again, so if you're telling me that you're going to meet minimum FAA and FCC requirements, then my assumption is going to be it's going to have a light that continues to blink, whereas at the local level, we would, in my opinion, I can't speak for the commission, we sure like to see those things go off at night if they're in an aircraft in the area.
Certainly, sir, that is something that we will take back straight to the engineers after this hearing, and happy to discuss that further with you all if that's a possibility. If it's required by the FCC or the FAA, we're going to do it. I'm not going to necessarily state it's the minimum. It's what's required. I just don't have the answer to that question precisely here, sir. But I certainly will ask that question and certainly happy to comply with that if that's something that is technically possible.
Thank you.
Mr. Lucero.
I have nothing more to add other than, the comment about, lack of service out east that's in the master plan. Those comments probably came from residents out there as we had, I was in the planning office when they did the master plan, and it was done in 2001, I think, when it was adopted. So we had public hearings at several locations over the 18-month period. We probably had 2 or 3 out in the Branson and Kim area. And the priority stuff came from the residents out there. So that's where that comment probably came from.
All right, are there any more comments?
Commissioner has just one more. Mr. Williams, thank you so much for bringing this information to us and for your willingness to respond to our questions. Since you're going to have this tower, I would imagine there's going to be other, perhaps, requests. One of the presentations I attended recently, you may know this, was from a artificial intelligence fire detection system that is placed on these towers through some of the electric co-ops throughout Colorado. Basically what they do is they will install monitor systems that will send a signal through this AI simulation and captivating of information back to a central control to determine if indeed what the AI detecting system is looking at is a real fire or simply something that is not necessarily needing to be responded to. So as we go through the process, simply wanted to make a comment. You may be getting other requests to install an additional piece of equipment on your tower. And let me close with this, sir. Thank you. It would be awesome to see a scholarship sponsored by Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile for a graduate of either Branson or the school district to advance their education, and so therefore you're forging the future students of AT&T and T-Mobile and AT&T. So I just wanted to close with that because I think as you make this investment, investing back in the community is going to be very important.
Thank you, sir. I've noted that.
No other question, Chairman.
All right, are there any other proponents that would like to comment on this installation? And bear with me, I have to ask this 3 times. Are there any other proponents that would like to comment on this? Are there any other proponents that would like to comment on this installation? Hearing none, having heard the proponent's statements, are there any opponents that would like to speak at this time? Are there any opponents that would like to speak against the installation? Are there any opponents that would like to speak against this installation? And I believe we've got the information we need. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I will make a motion to approve MF 2025-003 by Verizon Wireless seeking approval for a new antenna facility 165 feet in height and will be located at 69375 County Road 6.8 in Branson, Colorado.
I'm going to second the motion.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Sarah?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes. And thank you for your presentation, Mr. Williams, Ms. Harrison, and as a former EMT and a volunteer firefighter from way back And having been in that area and knowing where the dead spots are, I can see the advantage that would be there. Thank you again.
Thank you, Commissioner House. We appreciate it. Thank you for the ability to present to you today. We really do appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. And Mr. Rogan, we'll get in touch with you to move forward. Thank you so much.
And with that, I'm going to call this hearing closed.
Thank you. May we sign off, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And now we'll, do we have to adjourn this? Or just move on? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to resume our Board of County Commissioners meeting.
So moved. I'll second.
Commissioner Sarah?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes. I believe we left off with 9H, consideration of road use agreement update. Mr. Dorkin.
Commissioner, before you for your consideration is updated road use agreement as follows. In line with special use permits issued, especially when it comes to large developments of solar, wind, and other types of facilities. We have started entering into road use agreements in addition to the special use permit, and this road use agreement has some updates that were needed. Specifically, one of them that jumps out is the bonding. HUP requires a bond for facilities, whether they're minor or major, whether the applicant wants to get a bond per facility, or if they want to have an umbrella, I call it an umbrella bond. This adds language that says that in addition to that bond, that this road use agreement will also be required to the applicant to have a bond for the road to be used. There's some other things that we're going to
Commissioners.
Mr. Dorenkamp, on the redlining document, first of all, thank you for doing all the work on this, on the recommendations. One of very small questions, sir, on changes and restrictions. There is a paragraph in there, point number 6, if after commencement of the project and the use of the whole route by the county reasonably determines that it is necessary to impose further restrictions on the company in the interest of public safety, the county shall consult with the company to determine the details of such restrictions. Would there be any kind of a list of what those restrictions could look like?
I don't want to speak for the Road and Bridge Department, Commissioner, but my experience would be it's something that we've experienced west of Kim, one of the current facilities, that if a applicant who agreed to this road use agreement was not doing their due diligence to maintain that road, or perhaps having traffic go up and down that road during inclement weather that was destroying the county road for the typical traveling public, then I'm going to assume that's when further restrictions would come in which we may end up having to come to the board at that time and put a weight restriction on those roads during certain weather conditions. And the board does have that authority via statute to impose those weight restrictions. So that's one of the restrictions that I can see that might end up having to be imposed.
Thank you. And on section 9, other terms and conditions, the county reserves the right to impose reasonable limitations on the hours which the company vehicles. I really like that simply because if there is, as we know our county and the ag producers, if there is other activities that are going on, so long as the communication between the county and these contractors is specifically advised, I believe that's a great point to be highlighted on this particular document. Thank you for doing that, sir. I have one last question on this one, and or it could be a comment. Let's see here. The county, this is going to be once again back to, let me see what, under 9, but point C, the county may, in emergency situations, and acting reasonably and without giving any notice to the company as required elsewhere in this agreement, take immediate action and all action necessary to close a county road. That is almost a given, but I'm really glad to see this spelled out in the event that there is a project and there is whatever we deem as an emergency at the county level, so the communication between you, sir, and your board of county commissioners will be very varied. But as the contractors that are going to be required to get these permits, enter into communication with you, always, I think, the intent of the document is well stated, and I really appreciate the work that all of you, administration has and council, legal counsel has done to bring this document forward to us. Thank you, sir.
Councilman, just making sure you're okay with this changes.
And as far as all the work put into it, this was Mr. Dorn kept the work in, but I have reviewed everything, the changes that he's made, and I have no concerns with that.
Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I will move to approve the road use agreement update as printed by Mr. Norton.
I second the motion.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Searle?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes. 9I, consideration of James Builders Incorporated ceiling lens proposal. Mr. Dorncamp.
Commission, before you for your consideration is James Builders Inc. seating lens proposal replacements of seating lenses in district court. The district court's light covers, it's a simple way of thinking of things. There are light covers in the district court, and one of them's broke, and our design built for milling has assured me that it wasn't them or any of their subcontractors that broke that lens. But while they're changing out the cloth wiring and the lighting to be to make it code compliant, they would like to have to replace that lens, but in order to replace that lens, because I guess whenever they were originally put in there, that they are an awkward dimension, like 45.5 inches by 45.5 inches. There's no lenses or light covers that they can find, either James Builders or Millie or design build for being able to find that size. So what they're suggesting is splitting those light covers, lenses into two, and then we have lens covers for those in the future, replace those that are in district court. I emailed court administrator Bob Kryman, and he was okay with that change.
I see it says ×5 lenses. Is that 5 lights, so it would be 10 strips?
Correct.
And Mr. Dorncamp, the funding, is that Mr. Kryman department covering a portion of it, or is that, how is this going to be covered?
My suspicion is it will be covered whenever we are paying bills for replacing the cloth wiring. Although Finance Director Christy Colby brought to my attention this morning that we may be seeking some assistance with some pending underfunded grant monies that we have.
Very good. Commissioner Lucero.
That's my only question is where is the money coming from?
Commissioner Bobby, entertain a motion.
Thank you. I will make a motion to approve 9I consideration of James Builder Inc. ceiling lens proposal.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Searle?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes. 9J, consideration of Adams electric change request 1007 probation conduit. Mr.
Commissioner, before you for your consideration is another change order from Adams Electric Fund. Change request 1007. This is adding to the total amount of cloth wire replacement costs that the county's incurring. I've shown you pictures that were cleared in your packet. The picture on the left shows some conduit that is stretched. And it also, within that stretched conduit, had cloth wiring. So Adams went in and changed that out with, I call it Romex, there's new language for it, Romex on the right-hand picture. It isn't stretched apart and is in compliance with electrical codes.
Finance Director Kobe, and we have this money available.
This is probably the same thing of capital expenditure, and if not, we're hoping that maybe they'll allow us to use the excess of underfunded. Yeah, that's something we can ask. So, it will be paid.
Any other questions, commissioners?
No, sir.
Then I would entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the Adams electric change order 1007 probation conduit.
I second the motion.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Sarah?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes. 9K, consideration of Homeland Security grant letter of support. Mr. Dorgan.
Commissioner, we were requested to, on behalf of our emergency management, submit a letter of support for courthouse safety enhancements, and there was a deadline that this letter needed to be forwarded to our PM, who then forwarded it to the powers to be for this grant opportunity. And so I took the liberty of signing it and asked the board to approve this, and approve my allowance of signing this document on behalf of the board. Emergency Manager Phil Richards is here if there's any questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Richards.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners and board members. Welcome to the Wild West of new funding. Up until recently, we were kind of on our own. There were some restrictions that the federal government had put on Homeland Security for issuing these grants. It's in court now above my pay grade, and they're dealing with it. About a few weeks ago, we as a southern region, which is 5 counties together, as a board got together and decided to approach these grants as a unit together. Pueblo County has been the fiscal agent for these grants. Otherwise, we'd be on our own. There's a lot of paperwork. Warfield County, for example, is not applying for any grants in the near future because of the bogging down of paperwork. So what we've done is put this together. We had one put together in February, which was submitted. That's still active. I got with the sheriff, and he and I decided to keep the second one separate, which is basically a ballistic covering for the windows and doors and the glass. Not bulletproof, but at least it slows everybody down. We got, he arranged a quote from a company out of Arizona. So they came out to a formal presentation and gave us a quote. So we submitted that, and we have the support of all the elected officials, the sheriff, the court of the third floor, and we submitted all of that as a document. So we're doing it as a unit and supporting each other. The upside of that is if they approve one and not the other, at least we'll get one, maybe not the other, but hopefully we'll get both. So that's why the reason for the support, so we can do it as a group, as a unit basis, on an individual basis.
Given the temperament of the country right now and some of the incidences that we've seen occur here lately, I can see the benefits of moving forward with this project. Thank you for putting it together. Any commissioners?
Mr. Richards, thank you so much for keeping us just in time information. I know a lot of times, even a letter such as this one, that needs the approval that is brought forth through the proper channels. I want to sincerely thank you for all the work that you have done for the county. So it is with great honor that I will make the motion to approve the consideration of Homeland Security grant letter of support.
Second that?
Commissioner Searle,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes. 9L, presentation of the 2026 proposed budget. Mrs. Coburn.
So I'm presenting the 2026 proposed budget. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
I
That's easy.
have a booklet highlighted, but I think, Madam Finance Director, I'm going to spend a couple of hours with you later on.
Of course. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my apologies, I haven't had an opportunity to go through that, but yeah, definitely as we go through this process, we have a couple of reiterations. I want to thank you and your team of maybe one or two for working so hard on the presentation of this. Well, information well put together, but I want to belabor the point and get into the nitty-gritty. Simply highlight that I'd like to set up perhaps next week an opportunity to go over as you and I always do, so I appreciate that.
Of course, yes, and I will forward it to every elected official, every department head, and just to get them look at the proposed, because this is proposed. The final will come in December.
Thank you for your due diligence. Commissioner Usero. Doug. Moving on, no action. 9M, consideration Prairie Stokes Airport consultant Bolton and Mix. Task order number 2, hot fueling helicopter pads design. Mr. Gorky.
Commissioner, as part of our pursuit of the Department of Defense, development, community, infrastructure plan, I believe is what project, I believe is what it was called. We were required to have a minimum design done on the requests that we were wanting to get constructed out there at Prairie Stokes. Part of that was a couple of helicopter pads that had the taxiways into them, and then also a hangar. And as part of the helicopter pad design, both we took that task upon themselves. The total amount of $60,000 that the county is obligated for. 40,000 of it, the board we're going to be receiving from Tri-State. That was the memorandum of understanding to work from earlier. And then another 20,000 will be coming from OED. We spoke with OED earlier this summer or early spring, and convincing that the project was worthy of their investment, so they have committed to $20,000. So the county's portion of this, through hard work from our finance director, looks like it's going to be completely covered. And so we were denied the grant, but we are going to be meeting with one of the folks who are part of that team that denied our application and asked them, we were asking them to meet anytime in October or December, and then we'll see what shortcomings we have on our application, and we submit that application, and they will go back up in the spring, which was the case this year. So I asked the board to approve this change order or task order, is what they call it.
Council. Any concerns? Commissioners.
Well, I want to thank Mr. Dorgan for doing all this work, because when we go to the application of the grant, definitely the sign will be very prime time.
Commissioner Usero.
I have a comment.
What's your pleasure, Commissioners?
I will move to approve the Prairie Stokes Airport consultation open task order number 2, hot fueling helicopter pad design.
Second motion.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Searle,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes. 9M, consideration of SWCA CWPP contract. Mr. Dorfman.
For your commission for consideration is SWCA CWPP contract. The board approved SWCA to be the consultants in the development of our CWPP plan. And I will defer to any leader who is leading the charge on this.
Okay. This is a bit of a change from when we came before you last time, Commissioners. We did mention at that time that we were going to request additional stakeholder meetings and that we were also going to eliminate what is called a story hub as kind of technologically too advanced for our abilities, not only technically for us to maintain it, but also I'm not sure it would really serve our county that well because it's really geared to a younger, highly motivated, computer literate, educated community like Boulder. So we made those changes and have a service agreement in front of us now with a reduced price of $138,000 total cost. I did find one error in the service agreement. I'll preempt you probably, Commissioner Lopez. On the date, the date is stated for the work schedule to begin October 20th, 2026, and that of course should be 2025. And then the completion date, if this is approved today, will be a year from then, October 20th, 2026. Do you have any questions about the changes that we've made in this agreement?
Commissioner Lopez.
No, thank you, Danny, for bringing this, and thank you for the clarification.
Commissioner Lucero.
Thank you. And just one last comment. I really wanted to thank everybody who's helped me get it this far, Mr. Dorenkamp and Ms. Nelson and all the administrative staff and financial staff. They've been a joy to work with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I entertain a motion.
Yes, I'll move to approve item 9A, consideration of SWCA CWPP contract.
Excuse me, 1 second. Council.
I have no big concerns. I would just recommend that that motion include those changes to the work schedule.
Okay. So let me restate my motion on there, item 9N, and I'm always council being there. That eye contact says it all. Consideration of to approve the SWCA CWPP contract with the new dates of that were included on the particular contract, and so certainly if we need to have council exactly the dates, I want to ask one of my fellow commissioners to reiterate those dates.
Commissioner Lucero.
Yeah, the date, the October 20th, 2025.
For the start date.
For the start date.
And it's the completion date.
For a year.
October 2026.
Completion date is a year from then. October 20th, 2026.
Seems like Animas County, thank you, Commissioner Lucero.
And that was the motion.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Searle?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes,
Commissioner Hatch?
thank you.
Yes. 9O, consideration of CDOT RAP restore letter of support.
Commissioner, for your consideration is a letter of support for CDOT's wildlife reconnection and protection project. This, we were asked to have the board consider a letter of support for improvements that CDOT has to do in the Rancho Pass area. We were denied through a different funding mechanism, grant that we requested for the same type of work. This is similar to that grant, but this is the same type of work. We're doing a fence, I think 3 or 4 miles, and trying to funnel wildlife underneath I-25 area up there on Light Creek.
It was alarming to me to see on here, 2024, 48 deer, 11 elk, 28 bear, and 4 mountain lions were killed in wildlife vehicle collision. I sure can see the use of a wildlife tunnel there, and hopefully they'll improve it this time. Commissioners?
Commissioner Hatch, that is the location that you and I had an opportunity to visit about a year ago or so.
Yes.
Thank you.
What's your pleasure, sir?
I move to approve CDOT draft restored letter of support.
I second that motion.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Searle?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes. 9P, consideration of San Isabel Electric Forest Restoration Wildfire Risk Mitigation Grant Letter of Support. Mr. Dornkamp.
Commissioners, San Isabel Electric approached us to ask the board to consider a letter of support, and a letter of support for the Colorado State Forest Service Forest Restoration Wildfire Risk Mitigation Grant. And in front of you is that letter, similar to letters that other entities, I think that they just want the board approved, was from Santa Fe Trail Ranches. The one before that was Fisher's Peak. We didn't got those chronologically backwards. And in the past, the board has historically approved these, and I asked the board to do the same with this.
Questions, concerns, commissioners?
I have none.
I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve item 9B, San Isabel Electric Forest Restoration and Wildlife Risk Mitigation Grant Letter of Support.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Searle?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes. 9Q, consideration of public trustee report for the third quarter. Who's taking that one? Mr. Dornkamp?
Oh, Commissioner, before you is for your consideration is the public trustee report for the third quarter. Looks like 10 foreclosures, 4 confirmed deeds, confirmation deeds, excuse me, 4 withdrawal deeds, cures, redemption. Total foreclosures and releases $20,620.48. Ask the board to approve it.
Standard procedure and protocol. Any questions, concerns? Would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the public trustee report for the third quarter.
Second.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Lucero?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes. And finally, 9R, consideration of Valley Lock Security Service termination notice. Mr. Dornkamp.
Commissioner, before you for your consideration is Valley Lock Security Service termination notice. Valley Lock is the security company that provides the alarm system, I'll call it, within the courthouse via a third party. And we've had issues with Valley Lock in the past, and the current system that they have in place, they changed out the panic buttons, I'll call them, and changed out motherboards that we ended up paying for. Another changes trying to make the system a little better. And we believe that we have a better system in mind, and I'm asking the board to allow us to terminate this contract with them. We're required to give them 30 days notice. So I believe we've met that threshold because contract expiration date, I believe, if I'm reading the contract correctly, is November 15, 2025.
Council, no concerns.
Is that belong to the county?
My interpretation of the commissioner is that it is, but I've asked council to give us I believe it's under Article 1 of the contract.
I think Before asking council, I do have a couple of questions, and I know this would be seeking legal advice for the cancellation of contract. So, Chairman, if I may, then go ahead and lay this on the table for just a quick second, and we'll take this into executive session. Just for a quick clarification, I know all of us have a minute question on that I'd rather ask of council directly. So, if I may, let me make a motion to lay this item on the table and move that to executive session.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Searle?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes. 10A, financial matters, consideration of payroll and bills for the second half of September 2025. Dennis covered it.
Okay, payroll as of September 30th, 2025 is $262,525.04. Do you have any questions on payroll?
No questions.
Invoices paid. So we have 3 sets of invoices. First invoice, it was paid on September 11th, 2025 for the airport septic, for some material for $25,867.23. On September 17th, 2025, invoices paid of $229,000. Sorry, I should brought my cheaters. $750.96. I'm so sorry that something was. The third packet is invoices paid on October 1, 2025 for $350,977.20. In this packet, I wanted to bring it to your attention, we did our first large ACH. That's the top one, see the Walker Blue. We actually, that was an ACH payment that we made. So that was half down for the tax credit that we were doing. Bolton and Mink for grant 19, we paid them $46,276, that's for FAA. Old Castle, that was for grant 16, 17, and 18. $44,191.60. We will get 90% back for both of those grants. Let's see. And then to TK Elevator, we paid them $75,282.61. That's for the elevator project. We do have retainage that we will hold until we know the project is complete. Any other questions that I might have missed?
What is JMCO Corporation 3146 for $68,000?
Commissioners, that would be the fluoride.
Oh,
The board approved that contract this past week.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions, commissioners?
Well, I just want to, once again, on the tax credit, thanks to Finance Director Corley, Mr. Dorn, for all the work that is being done on this particular one to secure some funds back to the county, so that will be great. And Mr. Dorn, I have a question on the septic, on the previous report, the septic $25,000. What exactly was the work that was completed on the septic tank at the airport?
The board approved an RFQ, and I want to say it was in June or July, Commissioner, right? I don't have that date in my head. But it was for the delivery of 3 tanks. And I can't remember what it is called, but it's not what I'm familiar with, typical septic system, so this has pumps and everything else in it. It has leach field, and Valley Precast was the one who received that award, and this is the supplying of those materials that was awarded to Valley Precast. And in the road and bridge departments, we've been doing the installation, along with some purchasing some sand and other things that are required with this type of septic system. And electrical, those service bills coming in on the septic system.
Very good. And as far as the completion with the assistance of Road and Bridge, what is the timeline that, and I see Keith open up his camera, he wants to make comments, so sir, go ahead.
I would defer to Keith.
Thank you. We should have this inspected by the health department by middle of next week. And completed.
Thank you, thank you. And Mr. Dorncamp, also, the elevator project, I see that TK Corporation, we processed the payment of $75,000. What is the update on the elevator at Courthouse, sir?
The fire alarm system is to be installed this week, and inspections to be done next week.
Good news. Good news.
And so I know I will hold my breath. Commissioners, this
Commissioners, I entertain a motion on 10A.
I'll move to approve the payroll and bills for the second half of September 2025.
I second that motion.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lucero,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes. Now I entertain a motion to suspend this Florida County Commissioners meeting so that we can go into executive.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Lucero,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Los Angeles County will be entering into the executive session for CRS 246402-4B, conferring with the county attorney for the purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions. 11A, BMSF agreement. 11B, courthouse security. And 9R, consideration of Animas security services termination notice. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lucero,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
5 minutes of recess, and then would you please call me and Dorncamp?
I will.
Thank you, sir.